Hello, everyone. That was Jeff Pitchell's Fat Cigar you were just listening to, and that means it's time for Not Just Blowing Smoke, coming at you live from Twin Smoke Shop Studio headquarters here in Londonderry, New Hampshire, right in the 724 Lounge. I'm Pastor Padron. I'm here with my co-hosts, Nick and Dave. They're over there tonight. Everybody's in different places, so I can't get things straight. And we have three guests on the show tonight. We've got, right next to me, we've got Kaz Walters, who's the assistant director over at the Laudisi distribution group. We've got Cindy Saka sitting with us. She's back on the podcast. And we've got Yvonne Ramee, who is also from Dunbarton. We've got two Dunbarton girls on tonight. And we are starting off smoking this. This is the Red Meat Lovers beef stick.
Yeah, baby.
Beef.
And
beef.
Now, Yvonne, when we talked about doing a Red Meat Lovers on the show, you insisted on this size.
Yes.
What about this size makes it your favorite?
Is that a trick question?
No, I'm not using it as a euphemism. I just want to know why you like this versus the porterhouse or the filet mignon or the...
Because it doesn't require béarnaise, right?
You shouldn't put any béarnaise sauce on any steak.
I disagree with you there.
Negative.
Well,
Steak is good on its own, brother.
each of the sizes, though it's the same blend, because they're different sizes, they taste a little different. And I just really like this one a lot. And that this is actually my favorite size too. So I get.
Would you say like it's a Corona Gorda kind of size?
I would.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I concur with you. I think this is the best from my palate in the out of the four.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've
It's the
kind
one
of
we run out of first. So I think
Oh, yeah.
most people agree.
yeah, for sure.
Yep.
I remember you gave me a like one of the first.
Arnie,
Was
yes?
it October? No, I don't run shorter béarnaise. Like that is my favorite. But was it when I was here in October or August?
No,
It had been October, right?
I think it was October.
I remember you brought me one to try, and it instantly it's like, oh, this is going to be a new favorite.
Yeah, it's good.
So the beef stick is a 6x48 Vitola in that series, and all of them, like Yvonne said, have the same blend. It's a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper, San Andreas binder, and Nicaraguan fillers. And what kind of things are you, when you smoke this, what kind of things do you pick up about it? You say you like these flavors the best. What about this side? What pops to you as you smoke this?
I really wish you didn't ask me that question. No, because honestly, I would like to tell you that I have this amazing palate and I can taste all kinds of great things. That is not the way my palate works. I either know I like it or I don't like it.
And you just really like it.
I just really like it.
I respect that though.
There's nothing wrong with that.
There's not noise like, oh, I get notes of this. It's like, this is good.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
and that's all that matters.
Yep,
like,
that's all
do
you
I
need.
enjoy this?
right. And I truly enjoy this. It is very good.
Cindy, is this your favorite size of this cigar too?
It is. I like this, and I like those 4x48s. I like the small ones. But if I'm gonna have a double Corona
Corona Gorda or
Corona
something?
Gorda, this is my favorite size.
Yeah,
It's about the way it feels in my hand, the way it smokes, how it feels with a draw. It's a whole bunch of things. I don't like box press cigars. I find that really difficult to like. It doesn't. It's like a square peg in a round hole. You know?
It's hard to get them to
She
burn
said it.
evenly,
Yeah.
She said
too.
it.
Like
She-
even the
she said
best
it.
instructed.
She broke
like,
the seal. It's over now. Here we go.
But the other ones, the larger ring gauges, just feel uncomfortable because I have small hands. So you have a big ring
Right.
gauge, you feel
Yeah.
like you've got this big salami thing. There, I did it again. Sorry.
Well, I mean, so every blend
She's
is
gonna
different.
be doing that all night. I
Steve
love
will
it.
be so
I
proud.
love it. Absolutely.
Every blend is different. Every palate's different.
Yeah.
But to me, like I am a Lonsdale, Corona, or Corona Gorda guy.
Yeah.
And there are exceptions. Like there are some cigars out there that's
That
like,
just
oh, the
taste-
Robusto's better, or
Yeah.
like the Toro. But I find most blends to me, like not just like size and smoking time and all that, most blends to me present the best in those vitolas
Yeah.
to my taste.
I agree with that too.
I concur with that too.
And it's also part of like the whole smoking experience. If it, this sounds, well, maybe it sounds corny, but if it doesn't feel good even in your hand, if you're conscious that, oh God, this just doesn't, just stop, Dan. You're
Saying,
laughing.
you know. If it feels good, if it doesn't feel good in your hand, it doesn't feel good in your hand. What are you gonna do? You know? There's nothing we can do about
I
that.
thought
Fair
you were
point.
taking a risk having two redheads on the podcast, but you're the problem.
The man looks like Santa Claus over there.
Like I said, Pastor Padron has heard a lot, and therefore, yeah, there you go. Nick, what are you picking up from the cigar?
Dark chocolate,
Dark
some
chocolate.
spice and some dark chocolate, some leather. Really, really good. No, there's an earthy note in there, but not like crazy earth. It's like very, 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 very subtle. But I'm getting that sweet dark chocolate, a little espresso, a little spice on there, a little spice more on the Retro Hill than the actual puff on that.
The earth, like, it's there, but it's not even
Yeah.
secondary. It's like tertiary.
Yeah,
like, it's
yeah.
like it's there, but it's
I don't
like
know what tertiary means, but
third.
yeah,
Like, not second,
absolutely.
but third. Like,
Yes.
it's there, but it's like
What
a
does
base note.
tertiary
Yeah.
mean?
Third place.
You're a pastor. Don't you understand the concept of a trinity?
Whoa.
Oh,
The Warlock
He
is about to take you to Bible study,
he
man.
gets, he gets,
Right
he gets Trinity. It's not tertiary.
I was giving him crap because he didn't know
not even
what it
Latin.
meant. Not that I didn't know what it meant. You can't get through 7 years of school,
I went to
divinity
school.
graduate
I know what
school
tertiary means.
and not know what Trinity means. That's just
I'm pretty sure tertiary is pagan.
I mean, trinities are too, but let's not split hairs.
Another podcast for another
So it's
Monday.
Christmas, so
That's true.
Cindy, do you see how sometimes this
can go
podcast
off the
goes,
rails pretty
yeah.
quick.
I told you before we even started, you don't know what you signed up for.
Oh
She
my.
knows exactly what she signed up for.
I don't know.
That's why
like,
she's here.
Cindy and I have met. We're cool, but I don't. She's never. I told her you've never gotten a front row seat to my shenanigans, much less
Ooh.
mine and Dan together.
Here we
Yeah.
I'm
go.
waiting.
it's
I haven't
pretty-
seen them yet. You're still holding out.
It's gonna be.
We're only what?
You're an enabler.
We're only like 5 minutes into the show. We're only like 5 minutes into
Also,
the show.
I
so-
appreciate Yvonne for not going back to the office and going like, "Gosh, like you just stay away from Kaz."
See the Facebook posts. You can't hide that.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
out there.
I'm actually more moderated. Contrary to most people, like I think they're more outrageous on social media than they're. I'm the opposite. I'm more moderated on social media because I don't want a record.
you don't want to get canceled 10
I'm
years
just
down the road.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's something he posted.
It's like here is
Some
this
meme.
pie I made, and here's this dish, and like this is the place I traveled. And meanwhile, like you don't know what I did, like while making this dish, or like while I was on these travels.
Or these memes that he sent to like 15 people.
You started that.
Hey, gotta break the
I love like
baby.
randomly, like I'm with an account or I'm working, and like somebody's texted me, and it's like Nick, and it's like the most like hilarious but
Outrageous.
questionable meme, and it's like
outrageous thing possible. I can
that's why we
send
clicked,
Kaz.
man.
That's it, baby. That's it.
Anyway,
So we're
Red meat
pairing.
lovers.
We're pairing a Scotch with this.
Yes.
All right. Now, one of the things that always kind of bugs me about Scotches is
What?
They're Scotch.
What?
No, the names.
Why?
They're
There's-
Scotch.
You don't always know how to pronounce it.
Scotch.
Yeah. But
I may be
Like
is
the
it-
tape.
I'm going to say Glenmorangie.
That's how I pronounce it, but that is with absolutely no confidence.
Okay.
Just saying.
So we are doing the Glenmorangie 14.
14.
What do you like about this Scotch, Kaz?
So
Meringue.
I thought it was a Miranda.
I'm for the most part an equal opportunity drinker. It's not.
If it's wet, it's in here.
I like it. I like it. I like where he's going with that.
I agree. That's what she said. But no, hit it. So I mean, it's not common. It is not common that I drink vodka or tequila unless it's in a cocktail like this. Like those are the two spirits that I'm usually not
Yeah.
a frequent partaker of. Rum, whiskeys, gin, like fairly well versed in. When it comes to Scotch, I personally prefer those of the Highland variety. I like
Explain that to people that don't know what
so
that is.
there are it's been a while since I've really studied up on this, but there are about like 6 different types of Scotch,
Layman's terms.
and they're divided by region of Scotland.
Yes.
And each little region of Scotland has a unique approach to Scotch, and it's really just boils down to how much peat smoke they apply to the spirit
Yeah.
or to the actual grain.
Yeah.
Most that I have encountered, and this is anecdotal, prefer, or like the most popular thing, it's kind of like with beer, like IPAs went in vogue for a while, like people were looking for that hoppiness. With Scotch, they want that like smoky peatiness.
Yeah, baby.
And that is more the lowland or Islay.
Give it all to me.
Lowland or island variety. Those are two separate, like I'm not saying they're the same. Those are two separate varieties, but Islay Scotch and lowland, particularly Islay, use prominent smoke elements into the flavor.
Ardbeg.
I was about to say Ardbeg is like very smoky.
Love it.
Lafroig,
Lafroig.
if you're a fan of Lafroig, you know like what you're after. You're looking for that really smoky, pungent, powerful note.
Lagavulin.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're
Very
Ron
peaceful.
Swanson, like it's,
I love Ron Swanson.
But,
I love that man.
I love Ron Swanson.
Sorry.
I have different Scotch preferences though. Whereas Highland Scotch, which as the name suggests is from the Highland region, what makes Scotch is how the barley is malted, and then the application of peat smoke. In the Highland region, it is definitely present, but it is subtle. It is not the prominent flavor. It is present though. That way you get a more nuanced, broad flavor profile, which is more to my taste. Glenmorangie is like my just casual sipping whiskey. Usually it's the 12 or 14. And we haven't gotten to the pipe tobacco element yet, but I felt that something, a whiskey or a spirit of a smoky character was like appropriate for these two blends. And I felt if we went for something that was more Islay or more peaty,
It would have.
it would overwhelm. Like
Yeah.
it's too much of one note.
Yeah.
And you don't get the nuances of the Scotch, you don't get the nuances of the cigar, you don't get the nuances of the pipe tobacco. So you wanted something to complement without overwhelming. And immediately I thought of Glenmorangie, 12 or 14. And
No, well, there's a lot going on with the beef stick, and there's a lot going on
yes,
with the
I mean, these are
coin.
all like very strong, enjoyable flavors, and you don't want to drown any of them out.
No, you don't.
And I was super familiar with yeah.
How much of this did you drink? No.
Not enough.
I mean, right now or today?
On my
So-
ninth Negroni.
I mean, 6 maybe, but so I've smoked a lot of the
Nine
pipe
is
tobacco
just a
we're going to
stick
smoke, which we'll
upside
get to later. I've had 2 beef sticks before today, and
Of course he did.
man of many talents. And Nick's suggestion was like, yeah, like that's probably a good direction with like the spirit or the drink to go with. And I was like, yeah, I'm familiar enough with the tobacco. Let me get another beef stick. So earlier today, I smoked a beef stick, and the 724 Lounge was more than kind enough to let me like sample a few whiskeys, and I'm kind of proud that my intuition like bore out, at least to my taste. I don't know how you guys feel about the whiskey pairing.
I think it's pretty good.
I haven't
very
even
good.
done it
Damn
yet.
smooth.
That's what I settled with. It's like this is going to be complementary, but not overpowering.
Yeah. There's a lot of sweetness in the drink, and the sweetness is bringing more sweetness out of the cigar.
Yes, like you want it to be complementary, but not analogous, because then you're not appreciating either.
Yeah.
It becomes monotone. And do you see what I was talking about earlier? Like there's this, like I call it like a stone fruit. Like Scotch is not fruity, but there is like something that alludes to that with me, and I may just be crazy.
And this,
you
yes.
see what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So, and which is not particularly common with scotches that aren't aged in like a cognac or a wine
rum,
barrel.
rum cast or
Yeah.
something like that, yeah. Usually when you get the rum cast or the cognac cast, you get a really deep, I can't say sugary sweetness, but you get that that molasses
Yeah.
in those.
I
Oh,
learned.
she's smoking it.
I should have had them put these in Glencairn glasses, so like it'd be easier to smoke. Yeah. I
didn't-
mean, my ancestry's Irish and Norman, so like I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce Scottish words well. I apologize.
Nobody can.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
that's a Scottish.
Wow.
They're
that's,
the only
that was
ones.
my
yeah.
whole reason I said I'm not sure. Glenmorangie, I think, is how you pronounce it.
That's what I think too, and no offense to anybody that like if I have it wrong, like I'm like I said, I'm not saying it with confidence. But anyway, I ramble here. I thought that
Yes.
the Glenmorangie 14 was a great pairing because it had notes that were complementary and similar, but not identical.
Oh
Because you
boy,
need contrast to appreciate both.
Kaz, you're gonna hate smoking the glass
Why?
because it tastes exactly like. I can't say exactly like. I mean, like there's some aspects of it when you're smoking the glass that it almost gets to the point where it's peated almost.
Well, I mean, this
I
is
love
heated.
that. Well, if it's
Scotch.
peated, yeah, it's
Scotch.
like almost.
Well, you're
But if
blowing
you're
your
an
when you- when-
Ardbeg or
when-
Lafroy guy,
right, that's what I'm
gonna be-
saying.
Yeah.
That's like really, if it's peated, it's subtle.
I was doing some work here in the lounge earlier while I was trying it, and there was a guy who enjoyed scotches, and we were talking. And it's like, I love Irish whiskey.
Yeah,
We were talking. Green Spot's my favorite.
yeah,
But when I want scotch, I want scotch.
yeah. Hell yeah.
And like, there's no point to drinking scotch if it doesn't have a scotch character. But that being said, I like my peat subtle.
I like it
So
punching
to
me in
me,
the
like
face.
I argue that like Highland Scotch is the Scotch for the Irish whiskey drinker. It's different enough, but it's not overwhelming to
Wow.
a Scotch drinker's palate
yeah,
or an Irish whiskey drinker's palate.
yeah.
So yeah, if you're a Lafroy guy or Ardbeg, like those are the two prime examples, really.
Oh,
Like you're gonna go like, where's the peat?
exactly.
Where's
But
the peat?
it's there, but it's to me is more imbalanced. Like
This
that's not
brings
the
out-
only. It's not the only note you're getting.
True.
And there's nothing wrong. Like if you like that flavor, there's nothing wrong with drink. Like I'm not passing a judgment here. I like to just taste more of the
Sure.
smoke.
Smiting.
Like if you're a pipe smoker, like there are some guys who like lat bombs where like they would smoke Latakia straight, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I love me some Latakia.
I like to taste Latakia, but I also like to taste like Virginias and Turkish and Perique, like
Yeah.
the melange.
The melange.
Yeah.
No.
So, but I recommend trying it. Like whether you are an Ardbeg guy, like it's it. If anything, it's going to be a unique experience for you. Like you would you like heavily peated scotches, but
Oh,
this
baby,
is good,
yeah.
right? You enjoy
Oh,
this.
I like all scotches, particularly obviously
Ron Burgundy. I like scotch.
Scotch. Here it goes down into my belly. You need to get that as a stinger. That would be great. About right now, but yeah. I mean, I drink. Oh my God, I drink everything. But I mean, moonshine to coquito to tequila to all types of rum to everything. I
Hey,
mean, I
we're
love.
we're in the middle of Hanukkah. Mogan David.
I don't know what that is.
It's a Jewish table wine.
Oh, I'll drink that too. I mean, whatever. But I mean, I'm always gravitated towards some Lafroy or some Ardbeg. If I'm out with the wife and we're going to a restaurant and I see that they got a bottle of Ardbeg, I'm buying that.
Yeah.
I love me some Ardbeg or some Lafroy. I love that peatiness. It's just right after a meal, a nice hearty meal. That is just butter. It is the whipped cream on my
So,
ice cream.
like, I will drink
gonna blow your mind,
Lafroy or Ardbeg. Like, I don't dislike them. Like,
Yeah.
if somebody I enjoy it. It's just like if I'm ordering for myself, it's not what I go for.
Yeah.
But also to like, I know it's not the cigar we're smoking, but like how you're describing those scotches
Yeah.
is how I view. And I know it was the concept behind the blend. But my favorite Dunbarton cigar by far is the Sober Mesa line.
Of course.
And like it serves that same function. Like it is, I mean, by design, that Steve has been very transparent. Like that's what it's for,
Yeah.
or the idea behind it. But like, yeah, like there's something about a full flavored, bold, whether it's a spirit or a smoke, that's satisfying after dinner. So like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
totally get that.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm curious to know what Cindy and Yvonne think about the pairing.
I'll shut up now.
I like it. I find this particular one, I actually like Glenmorangie. Meringue.
Glenmorangie.
I
but-
call it Glenmorangie, but
But
who
I-
am I? I'm
but you're
just a
pronouncing
guy.
it with like the English like phonetics. So
I'm just. It's
Fred
what I read.
Flintstone.
But it's smooth.
There you go.
It goes down. And you're right. It's about 10 years ago, Steve and I had the opportunity to go to Scotland, and we did Lagavulin and Ardbeg, did the tours, had the samplings. Lamphroy was closed that day, so we're like, okay, we'll skip that one. But we also went into the Highlands and into the just north of Edinburgh in that area, and near Inverness, and some really great whiskey that you can't get here. And delicious stuff that they blend it with other things to make other whiskeys, and just really, really lovely. So this one I like anyway. So good choice, Kat. I just, I've had it before. I like it. It's not a surprise, but it does go really well with the
Yeah,
smoke.
Tina's
It does.
complimenting it really
I liked
well.
it very much.
also, I smoked the glass. Like I do enjoy that.
Yeah,
You get
that's
that
like.
bang of smokiness.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it just amped up the smokiness, and then it just like the aftertaste of the sweetness of the cigar. Just
Oh,
like,
it
It brings out
lingers.
Yeah.
sweetness in the
Yeah.
cigar, and like
Way more.
this is like really like top cigar for me. Like from the first one that you let me sample. But I do think that particular Scotch or something of that variety does bring out some notes in it
Yeah,
that
for sure.
are more subtle without it. Like it broadens that spectrum. And yeah, I think it's really cool that you got to sample like these that aren't exported, like scotches and stuff.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And people like, not to derail here, but like single malts are like the thing now.
Yeah.
But people don't understand, like that's a really recent advent. Like Winston Churchill drank a lot of scotch, and like his scotch of choice was Johnny Walker Black. Like
Yeah.
blends up until very recently were like
Yeah,
the scotch.
The blends,
So
the blends that they export, everybody knows them.
Yeah.
They've all had them. But
Right.
to get the base scotch that they use,
Yeah.
we don't get that here. And
Yeah.
that was actually quite fun to taste that scotch.
Yeah.
That's
and
cool.
people
enjoy it.
people don't give blends enough credit. Like
Right.
blends give you consistency.
Well, yeah. I
Yes,
mean,
yeah.
they do. I mean, Johnny Walker is what, the top selling Scotch?
It still has
Out
a
there?
royal warrant on it.
Yeah.
So like the royal family of the UK, which the Scottish would probably not see that as a point of pride, but like that's still
No.
because it has a royal warrant. Like it's still the Scotch of
Yeah.
choice by the royal family.
Yeah.
And the prime minister who arguably like was instrumental in saving like Western civilization, like
Yeah.
that was his preferred Scotch. Like it's only been in the past like 40 years that single malts have been like the
Right.
premium
Yeah, probably even less than
or the
that.
preference. Like
Yeah.
single or blends were like the thing.
Yep.
And just for Nick,
Oh.
they claim that they have enough peat for 1,500 years of whiskey. That's
Oh,
what
what?
they claim.
What?
Good.
What?
Yeah.
What
Scotch is
company?
safe.
Scotch?
No,
Oh.
no, in that area.
Oh. Oh.
and-
Jesus.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank
so
you,
you're
Lord.
good for a very long time.
Thank you, Scotch Lords.
It is not a finite resource, hopefully. So it's
Thank you, Scotch
Oh my
Lords.
goodness.
Oh man.
they might run out of barley before they run out of
Probably.
Maybe.
Probably. I bet. Oh my God.
But the smell of the peat in the cooking process of the barley to
Yeah.
get to the mash, it's heavenly. It's
Oh.
just like it's really yummy to smell it.
How would you describe it?
Peaty. Well, it's peaty.
Yeah.
It actually-
Like, is it as smoky
It-
as
yeah.
the aroma as it is in whiskey, or is it
yeah.
like okay?
Yeah, it has that smoky scent to it.
Yeah.
When you, especially when you get to the mash, you can still smell that smokiness because
Oh.
it just burns and burns, and the barley cooks, and it just it's
so-
really.
Cindy, stop teasing me.
Okay, sorry.
My God. My goodness.
I'm curious. What are you guys thinking of the beef stick?
It's disgusting. I hate it.
Best way, right?
I
In the
hate
best
it.
way.
I hate it. I hate it. But I'm gonna continue smoking it. No, it's great cigar, man. I don't think I've had a bad cigar from Steve. I mean, Jesus. I mean, from the Todos los Dias, from the one that I always go to and I always recommend, which is the El Americana, which is their regular Toro size from the Sober Mesa.
Oh, can I step in here?
No, you can't. I'm talking.
Okay.
Yvonne, what were you saying? What were you saying, Yvonne?
I was gonna
Dave, feel free to mute Nick.
talk. Just,
I'll mute myself.
Cut the mic.
no.
Cut the mic.
Nick has been removed from the panel.
I just want to think about this too. Sober Mesa is kind of going to have a little name change very
Yep.
soon.
Oh.
Yep.
El Americano's going away. Did you know that?
Not exactly.
No, not exactly.
I know. I'm just teasing.
Yes, that one is not going away. But
We're gonna
It's gonna
name
be-
it
it's going to be
Bob.
called the Toro.
Yeah, just a regular Toro.
it's Sober Mesa Solita.
Solita.
Solita Toro.
Right.
Yes. So these are now going to come in a 13 count box.
Right.
Interesting.
So, and they're here. So we'll be shipping those
They
soon.
came today.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
the blend hasn't changed.
The
It's
blend
just
has not
No,
changed.
Right.
It
The
hasn't
box count.
changed.
Yeah, the
box
box
count
count.
has changed and the name's changed. So it's still a Toro. It's the same blend.
Mm-hmm.
It's just different.
We have lost 2 sizes. Sorry.
Sorry, Kaz.
Yeah, sorry, Jeff.
okay.
What was
We'll
it? The
wait
short
for you.
Churchill?
No,
Was
the
it-
short Churchill's still there.
What was your size?
The Cervantes Fino.
Ah.
I still have a decent amount in my humidor.
I mean, I'm
But like
sure.
I said, I like Corona Gordos,
Mm.
Coronas, particularly Lonsdale, and that like fit into that Vitola size that I go for.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I'll find another.
Well, you know what'll
Vitola that's-
happen? Steve will make it a PCA release in a couple of
We
years.
might have a
Yeah.
bit.
And
He's
yeah,
gonna
that
call
will
it the
be-
Kaz.
What-
you
He's
know,
gonna call it the Kaz and just
No.
release it once
Yeah.
a year.
I'm
No,
going to call it
he
the
wouldn't
ginger
damage
stick.
his brand.
ginger
image.
stick.
But no, he is known to do that. Bring it back
Yep.
in a limited release.
Yep.
Not that I know that he'll do that. 'Cause who
No,
knows?
but it's entirely
could.
possible.
That is not a
Absolutely.
declarative
in the
statement.
realm
I mean,
of
as we
possibility.
That is
refer to it,
speculative.
we refer to it as being on hiatus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's tucked away for a while.
And you never know when
Yep.
it'll come
Right.
back. We're still waiting for Pequeño
Yeah.
to come
Mm-hmm.
back, but
Cindy and I are
Honestly, to
big.
me, like, is that makes me appreciate the Dunbarton brand more. Like,
was that?
It speaks to the integrity of like the blends that, like, hey, this tobacco that we've been using isn't available, or like this doesn't meet our standards. So rather than compromise, this just isn't available. Like, that is entirely respectable of any consumable good, but like you see, unfortunately, you kind of see that like in our industry. It's like, well, we got to keep this on the shelf, so let's make changes. Like, no, if we can't make it as
Right.
what it's always been and the expectations of the people who enjoy it, we're not going to like put it out there unless and like I would rather do, we've said this with other things, like in our conversations while I've been up here, like I'd rather do without for a period of time with something than have a lesser version.
Right.
Yep.
So like
Exactly.
that's like, I have nothing but like, to me, that is just more of the integrity of the Dunbarton name.
that's Steve's philosophy. He just wants the very best.
Yeah.
And he pushes us to do that in everything else too, from customer service to sales to, just to everything. His packaging has to be impeccable, and he struggles with these things constantly,
On that note, can I say I love the packaging of
For
the
the-
meat lovers.
The meat lovers.
Yeah,
You know,
that's awesome.
that look of being a chop block,
a cutting board,
cutting
yeah.
Right.
board.
Yeah.
Which I have used.
free
in-
cutting board with every
I have one. Yeah, exactly. I have one at home, and I use it all the time.
I really think it's cool and different.
You
And
need to do a Dunbar, like you guys have done marketed or branded things. Like, you need to do a meat cleaver with like the Dunbarton Tobacco Trust logo like burned into the handle,
And
Red
it's got to
meat-
be
Red
Damascus.
meat lovers did it.
and it's designed as a cigar cutter. Like,
right.
you cut it with a cleaver.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Well,
The kids will
I'm
love it.
creating problems. All right.
Kids will love it.
Steven's watching. He's like, "That's a good idea."
You're right.
so,
He's like, damn, I got to do that now.
so the gentleman that did the Red Meat Lovers blend, he also did a cleaver.
Really?
Yeah, he did do a cleaver and a spatula to flip your burgers that has all that branding in it. And then a while back, Smokin' did the cutting board with a Saka Squatch on it. So
That's cool.
yeah.
The only proper
it
way to
was-
light a red meat lovers is to take a pre-lit charcoal briquette
with the top. Yeah, the top.
Yeah, absolutely. And try not to burn yourself while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's been some branding, we just don't do it. So
See, personally, I hate the beef stick because of the fact that it's a Dunbarton product. and that means that it's constantly sold out.
Constantly. I mean, this size is constantly sold out. I mean, the beef stick. I mean, as soon as they come in, they fly right off the
Let's
shelf.
switch gears. Oh, this
So
is,
I hate
this
it
is
because I
awful.
can't have more of it.
More for me.
That's it.
Right
that
now,
fair?
our biggest seller's the ribeye right now. So,
Really?
Yeah, we can't keep that in stock. But
Wow.
that
Remind
means
me.
more beef stick for you.
That's
so.
The
right.
ribeye is
It all works.
what
That-
size vitola?
That's a 660, isn't it?
It's
No, that's the porterhouse.
Those
Those
Toro.
Oh, the
Right.
Toro.
it'd be the 6x52.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Toro. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
And the fillet is the robusto.
The Toro's my second favorite size.
That was the first one that I had, and I fell in love with it immediately. And then I jumped to the 660, and I was like, eh. And then I did the beef stick, and I'm like, okay, all right.
and it's amazing how different a blend can present.
But the
And
size.
different.
Right.
It's
yeah.
not the blend, it's the size.
Yeah,
I mean,
uh,
every size is going to give you something
Exactly.
different.
Like the
you know?
blend is excellent as it is, but like
Yeah.
how it presents in different formats or
Vitolas,
different
yeah.
vitolas, and like I don't know if it was the last time I was on or the time before, but we were smoking a cigar, and it was in a
Okay.
no. It wasn't. It
Well,
wasn't.
we
a-
don't do that.
No, it wasn't. A,
No, let him talk. Let him
it
talk.
wasn't a Dunbarton thing, but I remember before we went on, it was a vitola size that none of us would have reached for in a humidor. We would have reached for a different size.
Huh.
But in that particular vitola, I cannot remember which cigar it was. I've been on enough. But like in that particular vitola, it shined for us, like to our taste. And it's just amazing how just the difference in ring gauge and
Wasn't
length.
the hot cake cannon? Because I
don't
remember.
No,
you
I
know,
think
like
it was.
in-
I think it was a Rocky cigar. Now that I think about it,
Yeah, it could have been the 60, or it could have been the DBS. DBS was really good, big.
I think that was it.
Yeah.
I think that was
the
it.
60 is great, and the 60, the 20th, I think, was
Yeah.
the 20th edge. That was
That's very good in the 62.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are exceptions to the rule, but this tends to be the size in most cigars that has that sweet spot of
the Sensius.
The
highlighting
Rangios.
highlighting the nuances of the blend.
Mm.
You know, now something I've been wanting to ask ever since the idea of having you and Yvonne on the show, Cindy, is like
I don't know.
this is an opportunity for you to share some secret information.
Secret information.
What the information that this is like the behind the scenes Dunbar. What
Get it out.
what is it
Yeah,
like
no shit.
working
Speak for your chest,
and
boy.
in your
Yeah.
case living with a guy like Steve Saka?
Well, number one, he never turns off. Never. I think sometimes he's talking in his sleep and he's thinking up things, but every now and then in his sleep he'll say, "You dumbass." So I don't know who's he's yelling at that point. If it's me or if it's somebody else, I don't know.
Might be
but-
something I did that.
You never know.
Dumbass.
I know.
And
You've got to
it is-
record something. Sometimes.
We-
Use
we-
like one of those sleep recorders for the story on your
Yeah.
phone.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
It's like he'll be yelling, and I don't know who he's yelling at. But it really doesn't stop. I mean, he's always checking out Facebook to see where things are and who's asking what and what's going on, and he's very in touch with his consumers. He wants to be seeing what they're thinking, and he's always been that way. Even at JR, he was very, very in touch with his consumers, so that he could kind of get his finger on the pulse of it all.
Right.
So, so that's one thing. It's never off. There are days when he yells, and that's not pleasant. Anytime anybody has to go see him in his office, they're like, "Am I getting fired?" Every time it's like, "No, you're not getting fired. He just wants to ask you a question." So, but he is brilliant at what he does, and he's been doing this a long time, so his marketing skills and his blending skills are top notch. His selling skills, he's a little rough around the edges with people. So we have to kind of pull that back and calm it down a little bit.
You're like, just
I
smoke
say
the
this
damn
as
thing.
someone. I say this as someone who is in a sales field. So like, any people who are in sales, don't be offended. You know what I'm talking about.
And we're not
Because-
all going to be offended here.
Because I'm talking more like retail sales and wholesale sales are a little different, I think. But I've been in both sides. But you saying like his sales stuff, like I see that as again, I'm in sales. I see that as more of an attribute because you can be 100% honest and have integrity. I don't know how
What?
to articulate this. Like, bear with me here.
Just say it with your chest, boy.
No, I'm going to say it, but I just don't want to be misrepresented.
Say it.
If someone who is passionate and produces a good product, but their weaker point is sales, I immediately hear, oh, they're not talented in bullshitting. Like, Steve is like who he is, and he's
Yeah.
honest and
Right.
he's direct.
He's
Yeah.
got
Like, it's not-
bravado.
It's,
You know,
yes,
it's-
it's not flowery. It's like
No.
fully like you can be
Straightforward.
100%. Yes, you can be 100% honest and have integrity, but still bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
You
you
can.
get what's like bullshit to me
Yeah.
is not dishonest or anything like that. What I'm saying is like it's to the point and it's direct. Whereas like sales requires
A finesse.
that's a better word. I was about to
Yes.
say tact.
Finesse.
But like, yeah, like in my personal life, I have no tact. But like, I have the ability to like, how can I say the same thing with exact honesty the same way, but it will be received how I want it to be received.
Yeah.
Because some people like directness and like plain spoken. A lot of people outside of even like a sales purchaser dynamic, just in the real world, like speaking with friends, like that level of directness, like people don't respond normally well to that. So like I respect that. Like it's like, no, this is what it is, and I'm passionate and like just plain spoken, like no flowery language, no like spin on it. So I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Like,
No, it's not. It's
Yeah.
it's just
It's-
a trait.
yeah,
It's not exactly that. It's that like we can't when he's at the trade show, he's not allowed to take orders because he has no clue what's actually happening. Even though he makes up the deals, he always screws it up somehow. So we just say you sit and do media, talk to the people that come by, enjoy
you be the
yourself.
creative, and we'll.
Yeah, and we'll be the nuts and bolts. We'll take care of the mechanics. So, but he now has my daughter-in-law is working with us, and she is from Nicaragua. So she has she's in the factories. Like she can talk to the factories and box makers and get things done, which has helped him tremendously. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like it's never. It's just a never-ending job. It's 24/7.
Is it a never-ending job trying to deal with the aftermath of his bravado and super honesty? And is that what you're saying?
No. It's never ending, and that like dealing with the consumers is never ending.
That's true. Yeah.
Thinking about what he's going to do next never stops. The creative part never stops. All of that's going
Yeah.
on.
That
So-
also gives those some like a nimble character or agility, not agility.
You see Steve is agile.
Yeah. That's a
Don't let
very.
it be
that's-
honest.
Come
No,
on.
no, he is, especially like in a
He's
mental
not
sense,
Poe the
because
Panda.
like what you just said, like boil it down to what is. You guys are a family business,
Yeah.
Yeah.
like husband, wife, like you said your daughter-in-law,
My
is
daughter-in-law's
like,
there,
and
yeah.
that versus like a big like corporation or a larger like big brand, like there's flexibility that you guys have, and yes,
Yeah.
I understand like small businesses are more chaotic in that sense, or more like family, but that allows you to be more adaptable and agile with meeting market demands, needs, and what your consumer wants. Like you were talking about, like he's active on social media, and I see that. I love the times when he goes on rants and he ends it with like snicker between
Yeah.
aspects.
Yeah.
Like he is saying what all of us in the industry want to say,
Yeah.
and I respect that.
I have never seen so many comments and things. I don't know how he keeps up with it.
But also, like that's one thing that like make like the people who love Dunbarton, the products, like that's also another reason that endears him is because like Steve is real. That's what I was trying to get to with like
Yeah.
the salesman. He's
And-
real, and that gives consumer confidence.
So, well, we have a very tiny little team.
Yeah.
We have 9 people now, about to be 10, and everybody does.
Is that because of a birth?
No, no. There's no babies involved.
No babies.
No.
Dan, that's really that's
a
not a
new hire.
that was not an appropriate question, Dan.
That was
How dare you?
No, but we are very efficient at what we do, and so I think that's why, if he sees a cog in the machine that's not going, that's when he'll start to say, "Hey guys, you got to do something about it." And usually it's me, because my job is the office people and
Right.
the warehouse and making sure it's running smoothly. So
so, Steve's strengths are obviously his, unreal knowledge of tobacco and blending, and his ability to interact and listen to and respond to his consumer base and interact with them, and the way he brands, using Facebook is just I don't know anyone that does it better than him.
It's called guerrilla marketing.
Yeah, very much so.
No, like really, like
Especially when,
not like
especially
an
when
ape, but
Dunbarton
like-
finds out what's
like
going
guerrilla
on at
warfare,
Dunbarton
like
through his Facebook posts.
it's not conventional, but it's effective, and it's
That's
Yeah.
squad
It is.
marketing.
and the way that
That's a great. It's that Squatch marketing.
Sasquatch marketing.
and this industry's changed a lot in the last 15 years. It's
in the last like 5 years.
Yes, it's changed,
Yeah.
and he's trying to keep going along with it and not get lost
Right.
and not forgotten, and that's kind of a daily task.
So that leads right to the next question
Oh,
that I
boy.
wanted to ask, and that is, those are, we know what his strengths are, but we also know that just like anything, but it's certainly true with Dunbarton, it's a team effort. What is it that he needs in order that you provide, that makes Dunbarton able to function at the level that it is? Because if it was, as awesome as Steve is, he isn't the whole thing. It's a team effort with both of you and the other people in the office.
Cindy and Steve balance each other out. I mean, both of their strengths, they work together to make the rest of us the working
And that's
mechanics.
that's
of
what I'm kind of wanting to get at is, what are those strengths? and what is
Complementary
it-
strengths.
What are the things that you do that really, that Steve needs from you guys in order for you guys to be the success that you are together as a company?
Cindy does a million things.
I don't know. I'm like,
900,000 maybe.
he'll
Steve's the ligador, and I basically run everything.
I would love that to be true, but it's not. So, when we started, it was just the 3 of us, my son and Steve and I, and for the first year, that was doable. It was a small amount of customers. We could do it, but then it started growing and growing, and then we're like, we got to bring on number 4, and that's Yvonne. And so she started taking over a lot of my tasks, and we just kept adding people, because I would get trapped with things like accounting that I don't do well, not my strength. And we added somebody for that. We just kept adding to build on. And now we're at the point where it's Steve's turn to start adding people he needs. So our new hire is very tech based, so she can help him with that. And there's a lot of his next new hire should be a graphics designer, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But he needs us to be on top of what we do as far as reaching out to our retailers and getting the sales going and letting them know when our product is in and getting it out the door. That's what we have to do to make his life easier. And some days we're really good at it. And some days we're
Some
not.
days we're not.
Some days we struggle.
Yes.
And
Almost sounds human.
I have to say, like, for you guys to be a team of 10 and to
That
have the
impresses me.
presence that
I
you
can't
have
believe you
in
guys do what you do
humidors
with that.
across the country, the brand recognition. So Laudisi Enterprises, our booth was like 2 rows up. Like I had like a clear view of the Dunbarton booth at PCA, and you guys were always busy.
Yep.
For you to be a team of 10 and have a brand with that much demand when there are corporate brands like that
Yeah.
had comparable demand and probably sometimes like had more lulls than you guys did
I don't remember a lot.
is well, yeah, no, I never
that's
looked
Kaz's
over there.
point.
That's what I'm saying. Like so we talked about like before PCA, connecting at PCA, maybe have dinner or drinks, like
Right.
just because like we have a friendship,
Right.
and it never happened, and that we saw each other twice. Once you had a moment, I think you were like penciling in a bathroom break,
Yes.
and you
that's difficult to do.
yes,
It
and you
is.
stopped by the booth and said hey, and then like we passed each other after like it wasn't even during the show, it was afterwards. I was grabbing a drink before I went to dinner with an account at like one of the hotel bars, and you were I think on your way to a dinner or something, and like and that was the only 2 interactions we had, and it's because like the demand and like how busy you were, and like for a team of 10
Yeah. And
But
not
you
every,
would get
to
impressive.
have like it's
and we don't bring everybody to the show.
Right.
We leave a little team back at the
you
Yeah.
have
got
to.
to.
ranch,
You have
know,
to.
so they can, and things will be different this year. We're changing some things up to make that even more efficient. That's what we're all about, trying to make things efficient so that when somebody calls and has a problem, we can be on it right away, or
I think it
if you
speaks-
need something, we can get it for you.
I think it speaks to because if you have all of one but not a deficiency in the other, like it's gonna take a toll on the brand. But
Yep.
because of like you have the demand and the fanfare you have about it,
Yeah.
it speaks to both the quality of the product and the quality of the customer service.
And
It doesn't matter how good your product is if the customer service is lacking or vice versa. Like you're not gonna have that kind of demand, right?
right, and that's the part of the sin compromiso thing.
Yeah.
We don't let that slide either. We like to have our customers happy. So if they complain about something, they'll get a replacement. If they can't sell it, we'll buy it back. And not many companies do that, because I would rather not have it on your shelf if it's going to collect dust. I want it on somebody else's shelf that can sell it.
Right.
You sell
Right.
what you can sell.
Right.
You got to know your people. You got to
Yep.
know your customers, and that's what we want to help each of our retailers do.
And that's a dying philosophy. Like it's worth eating the cost of like a few boxes of cigars if your customer's not happy, even if nothing's wrong with it. If they're not
Yeah.
happy, it's
Right.
worth eating that to have a satisfied customer.
Yeah. That-
Like what that does and the loyalty that brings and the integrity that speaks to the brand, like is more than worth it.
I think we had somebody the other day that got like a replacement pack, and they wrote back and said, you got a customer for life. And we get that a lot because we'll go the extra mile to make that person happy.
They know
Whether
you'll
it's a
take
co-
care of them.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
It doesn't matter if it's a consumer or a retailer. Either way, it's just, we want to make sure that people are happy with our product, because we don't want to put out something that's not going to burn right or
Right.
not,
Yeah.
you
You
got
know,
a
and it-
funny flavor,
Right. And it's a natural product, so,
Yeah.
and every now and then
There's
it
some
may-
variation.
Exactly. So
stuff happens.
it does.
And like,
So-
I think a lot of people who partake in like cigars, pipe tobacco, even outside of our industry, like wine, things like that are natural products that vary from year to year and that sort of thing. And that's not a variance in quality. It's a natural product. Like people who are connoisseurs of that, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, I think people who like really enjoy Dunbarton are cigar connoisseurs. Like it's
For the most
an
part.
elevation of
We're
the
not
art.
in the everyday Joe's kind of
Exactly.
rotation yet.
and like I think they kind of enjoy that. I know I do.
Yeah.
Like from year to year, like because if the quality's consistent, those variations are some of what makes it interesting. Like they're not variations like, oh, this year's different, like, but it's like, oh, like these nuances I'm picking up are like different from year to year in a positive way. Like that speaks to the maintaining of like it is natural and it is with the utmost care.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
Again, hope I'm not speaking out
no,
of
no, no,
turn
no.
there.
So
but like,
so Steve's big part of this is he doesn't just make up these blends. He actually sources tobacco. He knows who to get it from. So he's got everything from when the farm starts planting it till it's actually looks like this. and then put it in a box and all of this stuff too. So he takes on that and then does all the marketing.
Yeah.
And then we just sell them, which, has been very good for us. We've been very fortunate that people like our product and we're happy to sell it to them.
Speaking of bringing on a graphic designer, like I'm sure you guys need the help, but like Dunbarton has some of the best like bands and boxes like
Oh,
art
totally.
out there. And I remember I remember seeing him talk about, I think it was Facebook, about the Sober Meso box, and like the inspiration for it was like 1920s, 10s, like
The teens, I think it was.
yeah,
like
like and like him telling the story, like it's not just like off the seat of his pants or on the it's like
He
this
thinks
has an
everything
history.
Thought goes
Oh,
into everything.
yeah.
And
yeah.
like, and I understand needing help for that as far as like executing those concepts, but as far as the thought that already goes into it
I was
is
going to say, I think the person that down the road gets hired for that job, it's going to be tough too, because
The
Steve's-
standards.
Exactly.
He's very
he expects
exacting.
a lot,
Yeah,
know,
he's very picky. He's very.
he knows the value of marketing and branding.
He does.
Right.
He does. And he's very detail oriented. So that's why I don't have it now, but that's why with the Mi Querida band, you got that little postage stamp look on the edge. So those are the things he looks at. Also, the Mi Querida bands have that like paisley background that is really tough to see on
tonal.
the bands.
Yeah.
It's there. You
Or
can
like
see it
sock
better on the
con-
box.
the box,
on
yes.
on the
Yep.
black box.
Yep.
It's pretty prominent. But those are the things that
Set it apart.
he looks at that anybody else would say nobody'll notice. Why are you putting that effort in? Nobody's going to see it. But when they do see it, then they're like, "Wow, that's
Right.
really
A lot of
stunning."
care was put into even the minor details of the product,
Yeah,
and that's part of like the romance of it.
and that's
Like-
that is what he excels at. He's very good at it. So, other than that, I don't know. What do you have anything to add at how our team functions?
Well,
Efficiently.
Nothing we can say online.
Oh, ouch.
wow. No, I think we're a well-oiled machine, as they say.
We are.
But there are times we need to like get a little maintenance and tweak it up or whatever. There's always room for improvement.
That
So-
doesn't matter. That doesn't.
Yvonne, do we
that's-
share a philosophy? I think I've told you about this, like sugar and leather. It's like when you're breaking a horse. Some horses respond to a sugar cube. Some you got to bring out the crop.
Right.
We have our team is, like I said, small, and it's Steve and Dave Lafferty, and we have a guy in the warehouse, and the rest of us are female. So it's a very female.
That's an
run
attribute.
company.
That's an attribute.
and it's worked out really well for us, and luckily the women we all have, nobody's catty. We don't get in fights. There's no drama.
The one thing I really like is I truly feel as if we truly are a team. And it's at every level. I mean, I admire the fact that both Cindy and Steve will talk to me and everybody and want to know our opinions about things, or what do you think of this, or what what are your
Feedback.
ideas? How should we go forward with this? It's not all right. Nearly everything is Steve, absolutely. But he absolutely will listen to anything any of us say. And he doesn't, I'll make suggestions now and then, obviously not about blending or anything like that. He doesn't roll his eyes. He could,
Whether or not he agrees, you feel that your
Right.
opinion is listened to and respected.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
There was something I went to him a couple years ago, right before PCA, with one of our deals. I don't know if you
Oh,
remember.
yes.
But I was adamant that I didn't think this particular deal we were doing was good. And he was like, well, tell me why. And I explained it. And he goes, interesting. And then he came out a couple hours later and he goes, you know what? You're right. I think we're going to do it your way. And that's what I like. You know what? I don't always come up with brilliant ideas. Absolutely not. But I like that things that I think of, or anybody else on the team thinks of, that it will be listened to and at least considered.
Right.
So
Right. No, and that's important.
it is important.
I mean, that's important to basically anything. I think it was Richard Branson. Isn't that the guy who was like Virgin Airlines and
Right.
stuff?
Yeah.
Yes.
He always said that, it's one of my favorite quotes. Like, people who run businesses think that their customers are their biggest asset. And that's wrong. Your team and your employees are. If
Yeah.
they're happy, if they feel listened to, if they feel validated, they're going to invest in your business, and they are going to make sure
Yeah.
your customers are happy.
Right.
Yeah.
Invest in your team, and they will make sure they go above and beyond for your consumers. Not saying that like customers aren't important. They
no, but
are.
that's absolutely
But
true.
like you're putting the cart before the horse if you put them above your team,
No.
because your team that's their job,
Mm-hmm.
and like it sounds like you guys like have it figured out.
No, the team is important, and I want them all to feel that they are an important part, you know, no matter who they are. And that's been a big asset for me, because I find that if I invest in them, they're going to invest back, and they'll want to come to work, and they'll want to work hard, and they'll want to succeed, because, you know, our success is based on them.
Yeah.
You know, I need them. And I'm always telling Yvonne, I need you all healthy. Everybody take your vitamin C. 'Cause I can't function if one of
See
you goes
Stindy
down.
They
handing
feel
out
like the
vitamin
Dunbarton
C
success
patches
is
to everybody coming through the door.
It makes them invest. Like, hey,
Here's
Dunbarton
your
needs to
orange juice for
succeed
this morning.
because, like, they're integrated. Like
Yeah.
it's not that like Dunbarton success is mine. They're the same. It's not what's the word I'm looking for? It's not reciprocal. It is the same.
Yeah.
Like, because it's this enmeshment of
Right.
So
Yep.
a couple Christmases ago, I told them we do our Christmas party at our house because we can smoke. So we do our Christmas party at our home. It's very few people, so we can still do that, you know. And I told them, I said, I am very rich. And they all like looked at me like, really? What is she talking about? I'm like, I'm rich because each one of you is an important part of this team and makes my life better.
Yeah.
So your input, your work has made me rich, not monetarily, but rich inside, you know. I'm-
your life's been enriched by that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's where you
So-
put value.
Yeah, and that's where they are. They all come into my office when they need to. We work things out if there's an issue, and you know, if there's not an issue and you just need to wail because you're having a sucky day, I'll listen to that too. So you know,
They're people. They're not like
They're
No,
not machines.
Yeah.
Cogs.
I don't have machines working for me.
Good.
And that's why you guys are as successful, if not more, than a lot of the big like corporate entities. And I'm not just talking about like in our industry, like
Everywhere.
Well, we're still small. We're still family.
Yep.
So it works, and we are a work family.
But it sounds like you've maintained the philosophy from 3 people to 10. Like you've maintained that same.
Yeah, and it has. I mean, we still have. It's kind of silly, but we have birthday lunches. So if somebody has a birthday, we pull out a table and we have lunch together, everybody, and we have, you know, that person gets birthday balloons and presents and
You guys
Aw.
hiring?
cake. So you know, we do that, and you know, we
Maybe
just
we need to talk to Kurt about doing that.
If he's not watching already.
Hey now.
but
Hey now.
it's one more thing to just kind of make everybody I think it's good for the team to get together. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily team building where we all go on a retreat and
But
do
it's-
stuff.
But you have to maintain that closeness where trust and loyalty come into play. You have to maintain that.
To
And
me, that's genuine. Like a lot of companies do the team building, and like it's seen for like
It's
just
like-
going through the motions for what it's like.
yeah,
Oh, we're gonna have a
it's
pizza
artificial.
party.
It's artificial.
It's-
It's,
yeah.
it's
You
not
play
to
these
say it's fake,
games
but
and- yeah.
It's theater.
yeah,
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 it
it's
is.
just
It
kind
is.
of like, man, it's not really team building.
Another
Like
aspect.
what you do if you're a good company, you know. It's that's
It's just this is the expectation we need
Yeah.
to do it.
Another aspect of what I love about working at Dunbarton is you really are that team. Today we got a shipment in, and most of us, I was not there. I was answering the phone, but
Somebody has to answer the phone.
you know,
Yep.
most people, it's pretty much all hands on deck. Everybody's out there, and today, any of us that are here in New Hampshire know it was like a crummy day outside, and everybody came in. Everybody knew, okay, I got to go over there. I got to help get the shipment in. You know, so it's very much. It's all hands on deck, and we all help each other. If something's going to when we got in the shipment the last time, we needed to. Dave Lafferty came up for the day and helped in the warehouse to help get stuff out. you know, so literally.
I love
know.
you, Yvonne, but I disagree that today was a crummy day. I know I don't have to live in New England weather all the time, but I think I'm a New Englander in the on the inside.
It was crummy this morning. I'm sorry.
It was
was
your
a little
your
cold
classic New England December
I'm
warm
from South
day.
Mississippi.
I mean,
Like I've said it a few times on this trip. Most days in the South, it's like you took a really hot shower and put your clothes on without drying off. Like going outside, that's what it's
Yeah.
like. The last Christmas I spent back home, it was 80 degrees on Christmas Day. Like it's awful. It's awful.
stop
That's
rubbing
hard.
it in.
And the mosquitoes. Like, sorry, I digress. You lived in Florida. You know what I'm talking
I
about.
do.
I live near a marsh, so I mean, I get mosquitoes all the time.
Where?
I live near the marsh.
Oh,
The marsh.
The marsh.
I live near
Mosh
Nash.
I live
I
near.
remember the
Nash
first
pit.
time I came up here and I loved it, but like so I understand, and rightfully so, people in New England and the North make fun of the way Southerners talk, as they should. It's ridiculous. But the reverse is true. Like there's an like people will ironically use the word wicked. And I remember the first time I
The
was in
wicked
this
pissed off.
lounge
Wicked
and I
pissed
heard somebody use the term wicked. And I started chuckling. It's like, oh shit, that wasn't ironically. Like that's where we.
That's the thing.
And I was like, I need to stop laughing because every time people have used the word wicked, like it's been kind of like as a joke, not denigrating, but it's been an
No,
ironic
wicked
thing.
is definitely
And it's
a word.
like, oh yeah, like, but like I love it up here. Like, I mean, it's just like, and again, I'm digressing, but like,
Well, bless your
I'm a New
heart.
Englander on the inside. I was born an hour north of the Gulf Coast, and like I should have been born in New Hampshire. Like that's
Bless your little black heart.
my little black heart. Wow. Nick, how do you feel about that?
I love it. I love it a lot. I love it a lot. So what else we got on the docket, Danny?
Well, we gotta start to move on to the pipe before the bar closes.
We've been in here for an
So,
hour already.
yeah.
Time flies when
What's
you're having fun.
what's our final thoughts here on the
Oh,
beef
it's
stick?
great, man. I mean, come on, man. This thing's great. In this size, it's cigar heaven, baby. It's a little slice of cigar heaven where Winston Churchill is sitting up in his throne and
This really
Smoking a
would go
red
well
meat.
with the steak too.
It would.
Yeah,
I mean,
That's-
they all
I would
would.
argue
Thing-
after a steak.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
They
Oh,
are.
why wait till after?
that's true.
That's my philosophy.
Just like Ron Swanson, I'm gonna finish the steak and the cigar and the scotch all at the same
that we
time.
don't have Lagavulin.
We got some over there. I'll go get some.
Go get some.
I will after the show.
Get some.
Oh yeah,
Get you some.
so
Dave?
it's great.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to try it out on your show.
Yeah. Well, no.
Like-
This is awesome, and it's great to have you on again.
Absolutely.
Me, I'm nothing. Yeah.
Yvonne's kind of a regular
Who
now. She's all right.
Yvonne, you're like one of my favorite people.
Oh, thank you.
Shall we?
Yeah.
We
let's-
shall.
Let's switch to the pipe here. So, are you actually going to get up and walk off, or are you going to stay and kibitz with us while we all smoke?
I'll finish my cigar because
Yeah,
I'm
why don't
slow.
ya?
I'm slow, but I did not bring a pipe.
That's all right.
I've never done that.
You've
What?
never done that?
I've never smoked a pipe.
Well,
As much as-
considering
As much as Steve smokes a pipe too.
that's what I was gonna say, considering that Mr. Saka is a pipe
does.
smoker, I would think that you would catch on by now.
No, he smokes. He goes back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
and he can smoke his pipe and then switch to the cigar and go back. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how he does it.
Oh,
Very easily.
But he'll do this, and then he'll be watching the football game, and you have a lot of time there, so he just switches off and on.
correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but like I think we have a similar approach with like speaking to both pipe guys and cigar guys. Like one is not a substitute for the other. Like I always tell people, if I want like a dessert, creme brulee,
Yeah.
bowl of ice cream, cake, and I'm not saying one is sweet and one is savory, but I'm just saying like if you're in the mood for something, we'll use some more things. If I want a pizza, don't give me a steak. If I want a steak,
Don't
better
give me
not
a
give me
pizza.
a damn pizza. Like
How about a steak pizza?
You know,
I've had some good steak, but what I'm saying is like got you there. Like if I'm wanting a pipe, I love cigars. But if I want a pipe, like a cigar is not going to satisfy that craving. and like it's interchangeable that way. So it's not that there's room for both. It's that they serve totally different.
What if it was a Stillwell Star?
To me, I still like.
Stop it.
No, I
still a
enjoy
cigar.
Stillwell, but
Trying
to
to-
me
trying to get
that
the
is a
gotcha.
cigar. But it's a unique cigar experience. But it's not a replacement for a pipe, and I don't think Steve designed it to be that.
No.
No.
No,
Yeah.
he did not.
It's not a replacement.
You know, Steve taught me to smoke a pipe. I went to him and said, I really need to.
You told me that story. You went
Yeah.
to like over to his house, and he had like hundreds of tins.
Well, I didn't
Oh, it was
know.
ridiculous.
It was before. I didn't know at that point that he even had Stillwell in his mind. And he did kind of get this like wicked little smile and you know his eyes, and he's like, "You'll have to come over for dinner." And I came over for dinner, and then he's like, "So let's go in here." And he opened up the door, and their dining room table was loaded with all these tins, and I went, "Whoa! I don't need to smoke that much."
We're real good friends with your company.
I would have
Yeah.
broke out every pipe I had and went.
and we feel
Let's go to
privileged
town,
for
baby.
that relationship.
Yeah, he has all his pipes, and then he also has the clay ones too.
Oh.
So I wish my bag was accessible. Like I've smoked a clay a lot on this trip. Like I love clay pipes. So I didn't know Steve liked clay pipes. Like
Well, no,
we need to
he-
talk.
They're very simple. They're just white, and then he uses them to test all the.
You get the
the-
purest, most like enhanced flavors from clay. So like that's awesome. I had
Yeah.
no idea he
He,
was.
he does have a few of them, just for that reason, to try all the different blends to see what he wants to put in the cigar.
I'm a huge advocate for clay pipes. That's awesome.
So for our pipe tobacco tonight, we're smoking the Savinelli Doblone de Oro, and from the little tin description there, it says the choicest Virginia's Burleys and dark-fired Kenyan leaf.
Dark what?
Dark-fired Kenyan leaf are enhanced with an impeccable addition of spicy perique, then aged to perfection before being spun into enticingly beautiful zesty coins. It's like they've gotten the description tips from Ashton or something.
Speaking of
Probably
flowery
did.
language,
A delightfully vivacious and flavorful smoke. Vivacious.
Why are you diluting that
Because
scotch, young man?
you
You
dilute
did that the first time. I didn't say anything. Now you're doing it a second time,
I wish you'd been
and you
up
should
here.
be arrested.
No,
You
I wish
should
you had been
be
up here when I was
arrested.
having this explanation to someone. If you should try it, a few drops.
I'm not doing it.
You bring the alcohol content down.
No.
You remove.
I don't.
things
I
that
like the
kill your
alcohol
palate.
content. I wish this was had more alcohol
No,
content.
I
in it.
understand that, but the alcohol effect and the flavor are not linked.
Same.
Blasphemy.
The alcohol has benefit, but if you
Gets me-
dilute the alcohol per
No.
volume,
No.
you broaden the flavor spectrum and you get to appreciate nuances. I'm getting the same amount of alcohol by drinking this whole thing with a few drops of water, but I get more variety of
Nuance, yeah.
flavor.
You sir. You sir.
I order my scotches neat, and I always put a few drops in because you should try it.
I
you
will
pick
not.
up you pick
I'm
up
gonna
flavor.
jump on that bus.
Yeah,
I'm not trying it.
like do
I'm
like
not trying it. I'm not
how
doing
much
it.
you got? Do like 6 drops at the most.
Levi,
like anywhere
over,
3 to
Levi
6.
over here is giving me a dirty look. I'm not
Swirl it
doing
around, and it's gonna taste completely different. It's gonna be the same scotch, but you're gonna
Oh,
pick up
shit,
flavors.
You did too much.
I
now.
did 8. I'm screwed.
You're gonna pick up flavors that you didn't pick up before, and it's just
I won't
because
do it.
alcohol, like that slight burn,
Masks the
and this
flavor.
is
Get that away from me.
Let me say, this is a smooth scotch. It's not
Don't
going to burn on the way down.
Don't touch
But
me with it.
when you take away that alcohol, you are able to pick up flavors that are present that you wouldn't have otherwise picked up because the alcohol, like, will. I don't want to say numb, but you know what I'm saying. Like it
Yeah.
it
numbs the tongue.
overwhelms those subtle
don't
flavors.
no, because he planted a seed in your brain.
No, it barely
Nope.
changes it.
no, no.
Like
But
the
you're-
alcohol.
But you're
still
picking up a little bit more, right?
Not doing it.
definitely more flavorful.
It's subtle, yeah.
Not doing it.
And if you drink the whole tumbler, like you're not having less
Tumbler?
alcohol. You're just getting more flavor.
Is it? Is
Rock
it more
glass,
flavor?
tumbler, like whatever you want to call it.
Is
I
it
have
more
a question
flavor?
about the pipe tobacco.
Yes.
Even though I'm not smoking it, is this a special holiday blend or what is this?
No, so it is
Something
a
different?
it is a Savinelli branded pipe tobacco, which is one of the brands we represent. It's the pipe brand that Laudisi Distribution Group has represented the longest. Savinelli has made pipes since 1876,
Yep.
and they're from Barasso, Italy, which is near Milan. And I always use that as a selling point because it's so cool. Like they have proprietary acrylic patterns, and like you won't find them in any other pipe. Like they
Very nice.
they design them with the supplier that produces the acrylic, and then it is theirs. So you'll have other pipe companies sometimes like have things similar, but it's not going to be exactly like it's their patterns, their colors. So they're very fashion forward, being near Milan, which is
Milan,
like
yeah.
a fashion mecca, and very like luxury Italian. That's how like people think of Italian goods as luxury, like
Italian leather,
cars.
shoes, yes.
Yeah, like Gucci, Dolce & Gabbana, Lamborghini. Like there's a reason these names have like global dominance in these like luxury levels. And these are pipe tobaccos that were developed as a partnership between Savinelli, my distribution group, and a European manufacturer that stick true to that brand image.
Okay.
I mean, you can only make pipe smoking so modern because it is but see, that's what people like about it, is that it ties you back to like centuries worth of history. But their modern
Show off.
spins, isn't he the worst? The meek one here at the Earth, Dan. But their modern approaches to classic blending styles. It's something that's available year round, but they are special tobaccos.
Okay.
So speaking of the tin description, Doblone de Oro is a coin cut tobacco, which is a very old form of tobacco production format for the tobacco. If you're a frequent watcher, like we've done rope tobacco before and stuff on the show, and it's basically just a derivation on that. It's like pre-cut into the coins. But it's a mixture of Virginia, which is a flue-cured indirect heat, kind of like I don't want to say baked, but it's not like smoke or fire-cured, which preserves a lot of sugar and brings sweetness. And there's a little bit of burley, which is an air-cured tobacco, not too dissimilar from cigar tobacco. It's not as heavily fermented, but it has a full body, slightly nutty and earthy character. You've got the Perique, which is unique. As far as I am aware, up until very recently when people wanted novel approaches to like cigars, Perique has been always and exclusively like pipe tobacco. Excuse me. It started with Native Americans in Louisiana. It still only comes out of Louisiana. It is picked before it's fully dried. It is put into basically like oak, like a bourbon barrel.
Bourbon barrels,
But
yeah.
it's not it's not a barrel that has held bourbon,
Right.
and then like it is a virgin barrel, and it's fermented for at least a year under pressure. And it is a really like odd tobacco, but it's amazing. It's fermented, and so the aromas are very earthy, slightly fruity, and there's like a slight loamy mushroom character to it. And it is a chameleon. Like the flavor drastically changes depending on what it's blended with and the quantity in the blend. So Perique can give you anything from raisins, stewed fruit, fig to earthy, peppery, like basically ranges from like really fruity and round to like very spicy white pepper sort. So it's a chameleon. Like it can serve many functions. In this blend, it serves more.
Spice of the tobacco world.
Yes, in this particular blend, it presents more like raisins and a slight peppery spice. And then there is a fire-cured tobacco in it that comes from Kenya. And Kenyan fire-cured tobacco, it's not too dissimilar if you're a pipe smoker from Kentucky, which is smoked over hard wood, but there's a slight baking spice and sweet note to it. And so all these flavors brought together and then aged under pressure in this coin cut makes this really cool mixture of this like spicy, sweet, earthy bold. It is a bold tobacco. Would you not agree? And it's a very satisfying smoke.
very nice.
I have set fire to many a tin of this tobacco, and it's one of my favorites. It's long been one of my favorites, and I think it's a great counterpart to the full-bodied, rich meat stick. And it pairs equally well, but in an entirely different way to the Scotch. Nick, what are your thoughts?
Sweet, spicy, earthy.
It's what I just said, man.
Exactly.
So what are your thoughts, Nick?
Exactly that. Exactly what Kaz was saying.
Would
That
Nick
was-
like a cracker?
I would not like a cracker.
Okay, then stop parroting me.
Oh! Damn.
Could you have an original thought for once?
I won't. I'm just gonna copy everything.
I know
you
I'm
said.
awesome, but like, be original.
No, I will not. Another day, another smoke, boys.
Are you liking it, Yvonne?
I am. And when I first started, I could definitely taste like, I swear I tasted orange peel.
Yep.
Mhm.
I did
I'm
too.
getting
That
some
is
of
the
that too.
Virginia. Yes.
Mhm.
There are some aged red Virginias in there, and I always say, like, it's not the first time you've even said it on the podcast, like, aged red Virginias to me, like, all Virginias have a citrus note, but red Virginias, particularly those of age, it's not like a sweet citrus, like orange flesh. It's like orange peel.
Orange peel.
Yeah, it's
Yep,
that orange zest.
absolutely.
There's a slight pleasant bitter note there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it was very distinct. I was like, yeah, look, I can
See, your
taste it.
palate's
I
not
can.
bad.
I could.
I would say, because I know we got a lot of, like, crossover viewers, I would assume.
Yep.
Like, if you're a cigar smoker and you're looking for something that's a very different experience from a cigar, but it's equally satisfying and would bring that same enjoyment, but a different, like, flavor perspective, I think Doblone d'Oro would be a satisfying smoke.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see cigar guys.
It's full bodied,
Enjoying
flavor,
this, yeah.
spicy. Like, it has a lot of the same adjectives for it, but it's not referencing the same flavors. If that, it tastes like that, but different. But it hits the same notes, but in a very different way.
You're licking your tongue there, Yvonne.
How do you lick one's own tongue?
How do you do that?
I don't know, but she's doing it.
Tingling there.
A woman of many talents.
Oh, God. Never mind.
Is it the scotch or like what's your cheeks are red? Like what's up?
Just stop. Just stop.
Cindy,
are you able to pick up any of the room note from the smoke at all
I
with
can.
everybody?
It is very. It has,
In my face.
no, it has a very sensual smell. It's like-
just Dan.
that's
I suppose.
you're between us, so I'm
Just
not
a
smelling
very-
him.
Oh.
But it does. It's really a full. Like, I love pipe smoke. I love the way it smells,
Yeah, my
And-
wife does too.
and it's just they're so different.
Mm-hmm.
But this one has a lot of depth and a lot of it just has that a real sensual is the only word that's coming to mind. So it kind of
For the person not smoking the pipe, I hear whether it's an aromatic, because people are like, oh, my grandfather smoked a vanilla or a cherry, but like
Yeah.
even non-aromatic pipe tobaccos, I've heard from many like disassociated people or disconnected, like not the same
Not
group.
pipe smokers, yeah.
Like pipe smoking has a like comforting aroma about it.
yes, yeah.
It does.
I mean, and this isn't me denigrating like Englishman's or Laudisi at all, but that's the only like blend type that you don't hear that as much. But there is a warm, homey, comforting
Yeah.
feel to it. And I was curious, like
But it
you were
has-
asking about the room note, like how do you like the unburnt like tin note, like what does that do for you?
Get really in there.
Really.
Get in there, Cindy.
Shit.
Get in there.
You have to. Have you ever smelled like tobacco coming out of the polone? You have to get your nose in
You
there.
gotta
It's
get
like,
in there. Gotta get that nose in there.
Man, he is very New England. He isn't a nose in there.
Yeah.
I'm a New Englander.
And, and I'm
It's
gonna
wicked comforting.
Wicked.
It
It's
is,
a wicked pisser.
but it's sophisticated. So when you get those aromatics, they're pretty straightforward.
Right.
Vanilla and cherry, and maybe raisins and things.
Not in a bad way, but it is very one note.
Right.
Yeah.
But this has got a lot of nuanced elements, and that's why I think, like I said, it has this roundness body to it that makes you feel a little bit less, just flat. It's got a real, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just really
Complexity.
Yeah, it's got the complexity. It's nuance. It's not in your face, but you can tell it's like the blend of everything together.
Right.
So it is,
So-
yeah, it is a united flavor. It's not disparate. Like, oh, I can taste the Virginias and I can taste this. They're all brought together in
blended
harmony.
together, yeah.
But I just had the realization. I'm kind of embarrassed. Like I've smoked this for probably like 5 or 6 years. So it's an old favorite, but every single tobacco in this blend goes through a totally different curing method. We've got flue cured, air cured, fire cured, and fermented. Like no two tobaccos in this blend are treated the same way once they're picked.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And it creates, so you have these very different sensory experiences brought together in harmony. And yeah, sorry, I'm having an epiphany here. Thank you.
So-
Like you
So,
Cindy, like I get it. Like you were just my muse. Like Steve couldn't do it without you.
I lost my train of thought. Thanks.
We redheads have to stick together, right?
We do, because there's
Hype
not,
each other up.
there's just not that many anymore.
No.
So, sometimes we get a cigar that's that way, that's full and round and just has all those things as you go along. But even in the smell, I get like the aromas that coming out of all your pipes has that same thing. I can't pinpoint and say it smells like cinnamon. Yeah, I can't do that.
You get
It's-
maybe notes that allude to it,
Yeah.
but that's not all it is. And to
Yeah.
me, that's a mark of a good blend. Like if you can pick out a single component in the entire blend,
it's
to me, that's not a balanced blend. And I think the
Right.
same is true for cigars. Like if you're smelling,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, there's a lot of jalapa in this, or there's a lot of corojo. Like it's fine to pick up those notes and go, oh yeah, this is there. But if that is the prominent flavor and everything else is
Right.
secondary or tertiary,
third place.
like to me, that's, and maybe not always, but that's indicative of a not like an unbalanced blend. You want everything to
Yeah.
come together. It's like an orchestra. Like you don't want to hear all woodwinds and then like
Right.
the brass is secondary, or like you want everything to come together.
And make that blend. And it just,
Sorry.
How's it pair with the scotch, Yvonne?
Great.
oh boy.
Now, I'm interested to hear a little explanation from you, Kaz, on how you think this pairing differs from the cigar.
Haven't I talked enough?
Not enough.
Well, I know Nick's not going to be able to do it
Nick wants
because
to
he's
hear
just
more.
he's almost done with his scotch,
I am.
and
I think
his
I've talked more
tongue-
about Dunbarton than the two Dunbarton
his
guests.
his tongue's numb from all the alcohol there.
Lovely.
Yeah, because he
That was
doesn't
only a double.
he
I
doesn't
mean, that's
throw
not
in
that
a few-
much.
really with it. Is 4 or 5 drops of water really
No.
that much of a
No, not doing it.
sacrilege?
Not doing it. Not
I
doing
mean,
it.
I know that many would call me a heretic, but
Not doing
really,
it. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Sorry.
your intransigence is not a virtue.
Nope.
I love you for many reasons, but
I
that's
love you
not
too,
one of them.
bud. I love you too, bud. But the water, I'm not doing. I
It's
want
not
that.
enough to dilute the whiskey, just to
I don't care.
make you appreciate it more.
I don't care.
So you were asking.
You were saying that this paired very well with the Glenmorangie 14, but in a different way than the cigar did. So, what's your take on the difference? What is
I don't know. I was talking out my ass, man. No. So whereas with the meat lovers, I felt like it was a good sweetness counterbalance with the red meat lovers. Like the red meat lovers is very full. It is very like I get the little bit of earth, but it is not. It is not it is just a nuance. I got the dark chocolate, particularly like one of those like really high cacao percentage.
Yeah.
Like 70-80%.
90.
But it did lack the bitterness of those bars. Like those, and I like that. I love dark chocolate, but like it had all of the fullness and richness and like those nuances you get without that like bitter note. Like I get no bitterness from red meat lovers at all. I get a
No.
very strong savory component.
Right, yeah.
And the best way I can liken it, and this is probably not something that I'm going to sound like a hipster here.
Go
It's
for
probably
it.
not something that a lot of people have tried just because, like, understandably, it's not an attractive combination for most people. But I think many people a decent amount of people have tried, like, chocolate covered bacon or something of that nature. Salty and sweet is, like, scientifically proven to be the ultimate
I
combination. Like Lay's and such, like spend a lot of money finding the perfect combination between sweet, salty, and fat to make their products literally addictive. Like because that combination like hits the human like palate in a very particular way.
Yeah.
So like salty and sweet, something I think that a lot of people enjoy.
Yeah.
But most people who have tried like chocolate covered bacon or something like that, it's milk chocolate.
True.
But if you've ever had it with dark chocolate, which I've had, like it is very deep and robust. And even though there's less sugar there is still just like there's a primal sweetness there, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like there's just this like not an additive sweetness, but like what's inherent. And honestly, I think it brings it more out of like the bacon than the chocolate. And I get a lot of that from the red meat lovers, like just this rich, bold combination of flavor.
Yeah.
That this savory and this subtle sweetness. And because it's a Highland Scotch, I think that they each make each other more of themselves.
Yes.
Whereas with the Doblone de Oro, which is very spicy and full in an entirely different way
Yeah.
than the red meat lovers, I think that while they balance each other, this actually highlights the depth and not the spiciness, but the darker notes of the pipe tobacco. Like that, I love fire-cured tobacco. A lot of blends I smoke, and you can relate to this. You smoke a lot of fire-cured tobacco, and we're excluding Latakia from this. We're talking like Kentucky, African fire-cured. Like you smoke a lot of Cumberland and Dark Bird's Eye.
Yep.
And those are both fire-cured tobaccos that are very different in character. Very different. And just like wine or cigar tobacco, like wine connoisseurs will talk about the terroir, which is basically just the location that the grape was grown. And it's the same with the tobacco. Like you can have two tobaccos of the same seed variety, but grown in different areas. Are you okay, Yvonne?
I'm fine.
Oh my god.
What?
But pull a Joe Pesci. What? How am I funny?
How am I funny? Am I here to amuse you?
Do I amuse you? Like, no, exactly. Tell me how I'm funny.
I think the Scotch actually deepens and sweetens the orange notes of the tobacco.
I totally see that now that you say it. I didn't pick it up on my own, but now that you say that, like it clicks.
Yeah.
But
Kind of get that. For me, it's like I don't know. Now when I'm smoking the pipe tobacco and I'm drinking the meringue, I get a lot of cinnamon.
And that's coming from the Kenyan fire cured. Like people, when I tell people like, oh, African dark fired varieties have a baking spice to it, it's like I taste
That's
smoke
my
and wood,
mouthfeel is
and they're
cinnamon.
like, I don't get that. And I'm like, keep smoking it. Like that's one of those like flavor nuances that it takes a lot of time to really like pick up because it is subtle.
Yeah.
I didn't get it I'm not trying to make myself sound like any sort of way. Like it took me a minute. Like I love African fire cured tobacco. And it took me, it's like, I started to pick up notes like clove, cinnamon, allspice. And then like after a while, it's like, oh, now that's what I'm getting almost exclusively from it, apart from the smoke. Like the smoke, not like the fire cured smoke, not just,
I'm getting like
Not
a
the smoke.
fruity chocolate note in there as well.
that's the Perique and the Kenyan fire cured combination.
Yeah. It's weird. It's like I'm getting that orange peel, and then like right after, it's like almost eating like
One of those chocolate covered orange peels.
that or chocolate covered strawberry almost. And it's very, and then it's that, and then right after that, it's spice.
I don't get the strawberry aspect of it.
Yeah. Well, my wife works for edible arrangements, so
Yeah.
I eat a lot of chocolate covered
No,
strawberry.
I'm not saying that. Like, taste is subjective. I'm not saying that, like, oh, you're wrong. But I see where you would get that from. Like, now that
Yeah.
you say it, it's like, okay, but that's the fun thing about trying this stuff, right? Like, everybody picks up little different notes, and, like, somebody will say, oh, I get this, and you never would have gotten it until it's like, okay, I see what you're getting at here.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and that's what's, like, fun about, like, smoking cigars or pipe tobacco with friends. Like, you start to, like, compare notes. It's like, okay, that's cool. Everybody picks up something different. But I agree with you. It brings out the Dave, like, what exactly did you say you were picking up with the Scotch?
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon, yeah.
Yeah. So I think that it pairs well as far as bringing out the depth of the pipe tobacco. I think that it's a good counterbalance to the citrusy notes. I think it brings out, because it's a Highland Scotch. It's a little bit lighter in the peat. I think it does bring out some of the more fruity components that you get from the Perique and the Virginias. I think this Scotch complements both in very different ways. Kind of like okay, my Southerner is coming out here, but
My
if you
Southerner's
don't-
coming out here.
don't knock it till you try it.
Don't knock it till you try it.
No, I do declare.
I do declare.
In
So-
New Orleans.
You put salt on a steak, which is pretty tame. Like that you should salt a steak.
Jesus, Mary Joseph.
And I would argue you should salt a steak 24 hours before you actually cook it. But we'll get into a different conversation there. Savory, people
on.
with salt and savory don't
Killing me,
balk.
Cash. Killing me over here.
But if you put salt in caramel, on chocolate, or
That's different.
on watermelon,
Oh,
Watermelon. Oh my goodness.
that combination, it brings out more of the sweetness. So if you've ever watched like Good Eats with Alton Brown,
Brother.
so he said something one time, and it's something that
We
I
gotta,
agree.
we gotta have a cook-off here.
he articulated.
It's madness.
I've always liked to cook. I've cooked since I was 7 years old. I've always had a passion for it. And he said something that I always like. You ever hear somebody say something that you knew but you didn't know you knew it until
Yeah.
he articulated something, and it was like an epiphany. Salt makes things taste more like themselves if used correctly. And he used the watermelon analogy. If your food tastes salty, or if you can taste the salt in your food,
You had too much.
there's too
Yes,
much.
yeah.
You should not taste a salt flavor in your food. Salt enhances flavors that are already present because of how salts interact with the taste sensory.
Salted pork.
And so if you salt watermelon, if you salt
They salt
chocolate,
tomatoes
caramel,
and eggplant.
yes,
It
you're
can add all of
amplifying
that.
flavors that are
Yeah.
already present.
Yeah.
And I think that the Scotch has the same effect on this tobacco, whereas it's salt.
Salting it.
It's salt to the pipe tobacco where it's sugar to the red meat lovers.
There you go.
Okay.
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 I got there eventually, guys.
Yeah,
You know, I like
like Jesus, man.
I got
Joe. Like, holy
Took
shit.
12 minutes,
So-
but yeah.
Only cook. We're gonna.
Most important-
We're gonna.
worth it.
Levi's gonna be closing the closing the
Hold
shop,
on. I promise it's worth
and
it,
he's
guys.
gonna be still talking
I
about.
promise it's basically like
This week on the
it's
Kaz
worth
Show.
it. No, so listen to me ramble.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
My ramble is basically foreplay to the main event. I promise
There's
it's
a
worth
point
it.
there. There's a point that he's trying to make.
Yeah.
So
It's gonna
most,
take 30 minutes, but he's gonna make it.
most importantly, do
Only
you
30
sell this in the shop? Do you sell this?
We
in-
do.
They will
We
now.
do now.
So really, like,
Now we have to.
so in Twins and Dan's, like, I'll have, they carry a very broad, like arguably one of the most broad offerings of a lot of brick and mortar shops in the country
Yeah.
of what we offer. Like, not just what we offer in general, but what we offer. They have a good cross section of our catalog compared to most brick and mortars because we have a pretty
Wide
broad
variety
of pipe
yeah.
tobacco. Just
Wide.
in Cornell and Deal's offerings alone.
Oh yeah.
You saw on our dining room table.
yes, I did.
Yeah.
But
it's probably because we smoke everything.
That's true too. Yeah.
I mean, variety's the spice of life, right?
That's what they say.
But this event, like the past two events, like we did a hybrid event in October where I brought Savinelli and Peterson, brands that like I rep, I sell. But we also rep and sell Briarworks
Well,
pipe tobacco. We don't like they distribute their own pipes. But we have a really good working relationship with them. They're good friends of ours. And it's like I wanted to do something different. Let me back that up. Dan wanted to do something different, something special for an event, and you called it Pipetoberfest. And it's like, how could I set this apart other than like Kaz showing up with Pearson and Savinelli, which people love. But how to set this event apart? It's like, you know what? Like Pete and the guys down in Nashville or Columbia, but outside of Nashville, like we rep their pipe tobaccos. We manufacture their pipe tobaccos. You guys have always wanted to do an event with Briarworks. It's like, let me see what they
do
just
it.
don't have the manpower to. It's like, hey, well, how would you guys feel if like you sent some pipes and like we did a hybrid show, and they were all for it.
Yeah.
And so I brought a lot of Briarworks tobaccos.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of excitement with that. And so I took that idea, and it's like we always do a Savinelli event in December.
Yep.
It's like you carried some Savinelli tobaccos, but you've never carried Doblone d'Oro or Brunello Flake.
Right.
It's like I'm going to bring like a dozen of those, and let's see how they go. And they were pretty well received. And Doblone d'Oro has always been a personal favorite. I mean, for at least the last half decade. And yeah, I think there's probably demand now for you guys to add just 2 more faces.
I think so.
At least.
We're running out of room, but yeah.
Yeah, I
we're
know,
gonna
right?
Sounds
find
like you need
for
more
these.
room.
Okay.
Yeah, Kurt.
Kurt's
we,
gonna-
need, we need another wing.
Yeah,
you
we
know.
need another shelf space. Yeah, all that other stuff, all the vintage tins and stuff
Yep.
like that are gonna have to go to another shelf.
And
gonna
speaking
like
of
that.
speaking of always doing a 7LE event in December, we just had ours
Yeah, yeah.
on Saturday, our 7LE Christmas event, and we had 25 people stay for the afternoon
At least,
and
yeah.
smoke, and we actually did a Scotch pairing, and for $25 you could get 3 different Scotches, and the Doblone d'Oro and the Brunello Flake.
For what it's worth, if you've had both tobaccos or if you're a fan of Scotch, both pair very well with Scotch, but in very different ways.
And we had an awesome show. It was a great event and everything. And part of the testament to that was that people generally, they get there early for these events. They start at noon, and
We had people show up at 11.
People show up at 11.
We hadn't even
you
fully
know?
set up yet.
You know, and yeah, they're like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "This has been going on forever." I'm like, "Oh, it's only officially been going on for 20 minutes." You know, but usually around 3:30, people are starting to, you know, either come up to the bar, go home. You know, but they're starting to leave the
Like 3 or 4
the event.
stragglers at the end.
Yeah. This time, people were there till like 5:30.
And it was the majority of the attendees. Like it
Yeah.
was at least like what, a dozen people or better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was crazy, but great selection of pipes, Kaz, and
I didn't realize what time it was because usually when I'm up here a lot, and that speaks to like the testament. Like you guys have a amazing club, and you're all right, Dan, and you're adequate,
He's okay.
and you meet expectations.
The bare minimum.
I think I'm just about finished with this bowl. Actually,
I'm already finished with my bowl. I'm
I mean,
burning
don't worry
the
about
bowl
sticking
at
around.
this
You
point.
can go home, and
You're gonna have to pass me the.
usually I know that it's getting time to like wind down the events because they're 12 people. When it's like, oh, there's like half dozen or fewer people here. The event ends at 4. They've always ended at 4. I didn't realize what time it was until I checked my watch because like usually that's how I gauge it with how many people are still left. It's like, oh, we probably have about an hour left. And it's 4:30 and most people are still here. And I was like, that's awesome. You know, like that type of like engagement with the club and people are having good time and that sort of community. And I think the tobaccos were well received.
they were, yes.
And I mean, I'll always advocate for Doblone. Brunello's great. I'll always advocate for Doblone d'Oro. It's one of my favorites. Dave, how do you feel about like the tobacco as a whole? Not necessarily its relationship to the Scotch, but in general.
Well, you know, I'm excited just because it has Virginia in it. But you know, no, I think it is a very well-rounded tobacco, and I'm definitely going to be spending money I don't have on it.
Oh my god. Oh boy.
Yvonne, how do you feel about it?
I really enjoyed it. It's very good.
What did you enjoy about it?
Oh, don't.
You gotta get into the details.
No, I'm
do
just saying
that,
like
Kath.
flavor. I
I
taste
know
notes of
whether I
stone
like it or
fruit and
not.
leather. No, like what about it do you enjoy? Like I'm not asking you to be like a pretentious wine taster, but like
Raspberry. No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I say
I'm
taste is
totally
subjective, but
joking.
I would say you're wrong.
No. That's actually kind of an inside joke because every now and then we get people that say, "Don't you taste the raspberry?" And I'm like, "Raspberry," but so
I won't
I
name the
very
reviewer. I will
sarcastically.
not name the reviewer or the website or anything, but I remember smoking a cigar. Like, I always smoke a tobacco or a cigar blind, and then I will smoke the tobacco or cigar again while reading a review site or a reviewer to see if they're picking up things that I didn't pick up, and do I pick up. But, like, if you read a review first, I think it colors the.
I think so too.
And I
Yeah.
did that one time, and I was smoking a cigar. I won't name the cigar or the reviewer, but they described getting notes of grape bubble gum.
What? They must have
Barry?
been smoking a
And
Tatiana.
I was like,
They must have been smoking a
notes of
Tatiana.
Trident.
did you chew like grape bubble gum before smoking this cigar? I don't know what
Probably.
you're getting, man. Like, so anyway, like what is it about it that you find enjoyable? Like, it doesn't necessarily be flavor elements, but like, what is satisfying about it to you?
What did somebody say? Uh-oh. No.
Guys next to us.
Uh-oh, all
Okay.
crunch berries.
Uh-oh. No, you know what? Pipe smoking is just a completely different experience for
Yes.
me. And it's, I don't know, it just kind of like chills me out. I don't know how to describe
No,
it.
I've always said cigars to me, like I smoke them alone, but they're a social smoke to me. They're almost an elevator. Whereas pipe smoking to me is, I mean, it's not necessary. Like, I smoke pipes around people and cigars alone, but they're more, cigars are more of a social smoke to me, or more predisposed to that. And pipes to me are more of a solitary contemplative,
Well, that's-
so they kind of lower you to the occasion.
Well, I am still definitely more in the novice kind of stage of this. You know, I have to keep relighting and
Well, I
You
mean,
know.
you should. Like, I would
Well,
argue that anybody who says
very
they're an
peaceful.
expert on
Yeah.
cigars or pipe tobacco, it makes me raise an eyebrow, because you learn something. There's too much to learn for anybody to be like, oh, there's nothing else for me to learn. I'm an expert.
but you end up being, it's like a one-on-one experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't
Yeah.
mean to be nasty, but I kind of tune you guys out a little bit as I do this. No, I just mean like you get into the pipe and what you're doing and what notes you can taste, and
It's contemplative.
it is.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Yep,
Yes.
very much so.
Yes. No, I thoroughly enjoy this.
I mean, why I said earlier, I think it's definitely something a cigar smoker would enjoy, because it is very full-bodied, very
Yeah.
robust,
It
very
is,
deep in
yes.
flavor.
No, but I agree. Pipe smoking for me also is a very personal experience.
Yes, I agree.
It's you and the pipe, baby. It's you
Yeah.
and the pipe.
Well,
That's it.
I want to thank you guys for all being with us tonight. And
Oh,
Cindy,
yeah.
Yvonne, and Kaz. I really appreciate all the time you gave us tonight.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome, Dan.
That
Yeah.
smells really good right now.
That's awesome. Well, I think we have all given our hearty approval for the Doblone d'Oro, as
Yeah.
well as the beef stick. Mm-hmm. And,
Oh, you mean the cigar? Sorry.
yeah.
Smart ass.
Smartass. Both of which are
It only took
available
you
at
2
Twin
years
Smoke
to call
Shop.
me that. That's a record. Usually it's within the first 5 minutes someone meets me.
That's our show for tonight, everybody. Thanks for being with us, and we hope to see you next Monday, 9 o'clock, right here. And that's not just blowing smoke.
Stay smoky, my friends.